Hi, in this video I want to show you my special revolver Korth NXS with 8 round. It is chambered in 9mm and it also has a drum for 357 Magnum. And what I've done to the revolver is I installed the barrel weight, it's the steel version, and also the comp, also steel. And I've installed a hammer spring, and here you see the original, and I will go into the details. My optic is a Boris Fastfire 4. I really like this optic and I use it on my rifle, my PCC as well. So now let's see what's inside. First thing I have removed is the drum. It's very easy on the Korth. You just put it out and then press this knob and then you can take the drum out. And then I remove the screws on the grip and you have a hole here, and with an Allen key you go in and just wheel a little bit and the grip will come off. What I also like to do is you have the hammer spring here inside, and what I do is I'll turn it to the left, and so the hammer spring isn't under tension anymore. My next step is to remove these 4 screws, just the black ones. This one is for the trigger reset. Don't remove this one. Now the screws are removed. What is really important is to remember which screw on which position, and I just put it on the table like this so I will not forget how they are installed. There is a trick how you get this plate off if it is stuck, like in my case. You just hammer on the frame with a screwdriver. I have to take the revolver in my hands, but I think you will know how it works. Just take it at the barrel, hold it in the air and hammer on the frame, on the grip. So the plate came off, and you will see that in my case the parts aren't in position anymore, and it looks like this. And to show you the normal position, I will put them together again. This is how the parts should look like. I put the light in here so I hope you see it better. The spring should be inside the grooves. Here we have the hand which rotates the drum. Important, the spring to catch the drum and lock the drum. The trigger, I hope you see it here. There is a little nose in here, and this has to be inside the trigger. This is for the trigger reset. I hope you see it when I go in here. This little part is spring loaded and is for the trigger reset. Here we have the hammer spring and the hammer, and what we do is we cock the hammer, and now we try to get in this hole. In my case I have another spring, but if you have the original spring you can rotate this screw until this little hole is connected to a hole under this spring. I will show you in a second. So what I've done is I've screwed this screw in with my Allen key, and now I have this hole aligned with another hole, and I will take my Allen key and push it through, and then I'll screw the screw back. And you see the tension is getting lower on the spring. And when I now decock, just be careful when you decock, just pull the trigger and look that the parts are in there. You can also put the parts out if you know how they are put together. And now you can take out the hammer spring very easy and remove the Allen key, and you will see the spring. What you see here is my hammer spring. It isn't the original one. The original one from Korth looks like this. So it's much more powerful. And what I've installed is a 1911 hammer spring, main hammer spring with 13 pounds. And I've also cutted this spring because it was still too heavy for my tuned revolver. So here you see the 3 springs. This one is the already tuning spring from a 1911 hammer spring. It has 13 pounds. This one is the same and is cutted, so it's shorter and has less than 13 pounds. And this one would be the original. I think this one is really good to go, especially if you have Federal primers. I really recommend Federal primers, Federal small pistol primers in a tuned revolver for double action shooting. They are the only primers that work really good. My next best choice, if you don't get Federal, would be Fiocchi. To cut a spring like this one isn't my recommendation, but I couldn't find another spring which will fit as good as this one. So if you find a main hammer spring for 1911 which has about 11 or 12 pounds, this would be perfect, but I couldn't find them, so I took the 13 pounds and cut it. If you want to put it together, just insert the spring, then this little part here, press it together and stick in the small Allen key again, and then you're ready to reinstall it. Remove this little spring here. It's not easy with the camera in the hand, but now we got it. Put it to the drum lock. And if you go in this position, you see, so I pull the trigger and you see the hammer is free and you can remove the hammer. I will do this without the camera. So I just pulled it out, and there is an important thing. It is this little piece here. It has to be inside here. And I think it is to reduce friction. And also important parts are this pin here is on the spring. This pin here is on the spring tension, so you will not lose it. But this pin here comes out very easy, so be careful that you don't lose it. And now we are also able to remove the trigger. And what you do is just pull the trigger out. So here we have it. And now the only thing is left is this little part with the spring tension. I will not remove this one. So to put the things together, as I told you, important, this part has to go into this groove of the trigger. So what I do is I bring it in position with really careful with a screwdriver, and then I put the trigger back. What I've forgotten is this is a really good moment when you can set the trigger stop on your trigger if it isn't set from factory, but normally the setting is really fine, so you don't have to do things like that. But it's easier when you have deinstalled the trigger to set the trigger stop. So the trigger is back and I can remove the screwdriver, and you see we have spring tension on the trigger, and this is really important. Next step is reinstalling the hammer. Just find a position where it is nearly in, then put the trigger on tension, and I hope you could see it. It will just snap in and trigger and hammer are connected. The next part I like to install is the drum stop. I put in the spring in this hole and put in the spring and then turn it and just stick it in and you're good to go. Next thing is my tuned hammer spring. Careful on the direction, and it has to go inside the hammer this way. And what you do is take the screw, and normally if you have the original spring the screw won't go so far. I have my tuning spring, so I have really much space, and I'm not sure if the screw goes out the whole way, but I think so. So I'll just do it until it connects, and the rest I will do with my hand power, so I will just try to get it out. It isn't easy, so I will press it myself and then take it out. So my Allen key is out again, and I can put this screw a bit back. And of course the spring tension isn't that hard as with the original spring, and therefore you need the good primers so that the revolver will also ignite in double action modus. There is no problem in single action modus, but in double action it is a bit tricky, and as I already told you, I recommend federal primers. So then we will install the hand. Sorry, wrong position. This part is the part which moves the drum, and then we will have the trigger safety. So if the hammer isn't correct, this safety part will stop it. Okay, so this is how it looks inside a Korth NXS. Every part seems to be from high quality material, and of course you can lube it. I recommend special gun lube. I think it's ceramic based. This is what I prefer. And the next part is to put the plate back in place. As you see, it doesn't go in from alone, and this is because of the hand. You have to put the hand inside, and also the safety isn't in correct position. So what I do is I put the hand in, and then I pull back the hammer a bit and wiggle, and then the plate goes in position. And I recommend to do this not with force, just wiggle a little bit on the hammer, and then the plate will go in position and it will be all together again. You can check the function if you want. So everything okay. And next step is to screw the screws back. You get a screwdriver from Korth, and hope you see it. It will fit very well, but for my opinion, I think it fits too good. I think it's a little bit too big, and so I use a really good other screwdriver. Hope you can see it. It's 5 millimeters. It's a bit smaller than the Korth screwdriver, and it works better for me, especially on the grips, on the screws of the grips. The Korth screwdriver, hope you see it, is a little bit too big, and so I don't use this one. I use my screwdriver. I really like this brand, and I take them for all my weapons. They are different. They are available in different sizes. So the brand is Philo. Hope you can see it. And the special part is this one. It's really slim and really stable. If you want to remove or change or clean the firing pin, you just have to take out this screw here, pull the hammer back, and you will get the firing pin out. So I've removed the screw, hammer is back, and when I turn the revolver, the firing pin will come out. This is how the firing pin looks. There's a little spring which put it back, and when you install it, there is a groove here on the firing pin, and this groove is where the screw holds the firing pin in place. The groove has to be on the upside position. I hope you see it moving. And you push the firing pin in and screw the screw back again. Now I install the grips. Make sure that this bolt is in this place. And there's also on the grips there is the screws. You have this part of screw, and then you have the other part, and there is only one place or one side of the grip where the screws fit and where the other parts fit. And what you also see is you have in the grip the possibility to change the spring tension, and so you can adjust your trigger with an Allen key. I think it's 2.5 millimeters, and you can adjust the spring tension from outside. Especially on the grips, I do recommend not to use the original Korth screwdriver, because it is bigger than the screws, and it's possible that you get scratches in here, and you don't want that on such an expensive revolver. So that was the tuning and the really disassembling of my Korth revolver. It's the NXS 8 round 9mm, and I've done several competitions with it, and I really recommend this revolver, and I would buy it again every time. So it's one of my favorite guns. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye bye.